unscrewed the Tabasco sauce and I started going, yeah. Woody was laughing at me. And then about 10 seconds later, he went,
Welcome again, friends and fans, to another edition of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we are going back to the bar in Boston where everybody knows your name with a cast of Cheers. So without further ado, let's slide on down to the end of the bar and see who we find. Our first guest is an actress whose body of work includes Veronica's Closet, Look Who's Talking, the film series, and of course, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of bar manager Rebecca Howe. Please welcome Kirstie Alley.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. I'm here in Clearwater, Florida. It's very hot and very sweaty, and I'm in the air-conditioned living room, so I'm good.
And as your neighbor here in Orlando, I can attest to our audience, if Florida is hot and sweaty, although the Florida Board of Tourism never wants you to know about that. And yes, thank goodness for indoor air conditioning, and I'll leave it at that.
Exactly. We go on Space Mountain with my family. When we were at Disney World or Disney and we get too hot, we just go on Space Mountain.
That will definitely cool you off. Have you ever had the opportunity to ride it with the lights on?
No.
Ooh, it's more terrifying.
Oh, it is?
It is because you realize how close the walls are and everything else. It's like,
oh my God, how do you do that? How do you get a ride on that?
Oh, you're a celebrity. You could probably ask.
All right.
So, well, Kirstie, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're here to talk about Cheers, but I just absolutely have to throw that out. Thank you for your contribution to Star Trek lore. As a Star Trek fan, I will always adore your take on Lieutenant Saavik, and of course, Star Trek II remains one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for liking it.
Yes, and Summer School, one of the funniest films of the 80s of all times, and I even like Runaway. That's how much of a nerd I am.
I thought Runaway was, Michael Crichton's a bit of a genius. So his concepts were, those little creepy things they weren't far off from being, it was a little early. It was a little early in the creepy things that we could do with the robots. So I think now if you see it, you see how they could be.
Now it was made. Now our phones would sprout legs and try to kill us.
And run and poison us in the neck.
Absolutely. Well, Kirstie, once again, thank you so much for joining us here on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And speaking of pleasure, our next guest is an actor whose roles include recently seen in Monsters at Work, Toy Story, and every other Pixar film. Today he joins us to discuss the role of postal worker and trivia polymath Clifford C. Clavin Jr. Please welcome John Ratzenberger.
Hi. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you two are in Florida. A little known fact that the word Florida in the Seminole language means hot and sweaty.
That's fantastic. You found out about that on your vacation in Florida, right?
No, I just figured it out now and listened to you two talk.
All right. There you go. John, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in a hot and sweaty place too, but other side of the country.
All right, absolutely fair. Again, John, big fan. I love everything you've done in Pixar, and I have to say, in a perfect world, the character of Bill Towner from House 2, The Second Story, should have been spun off and gotten his own series.
I agree with you. Yeah, he's the electrician adventurer.
Yes.
Who found parallel universes behind people's walls.
And was completely nonplussed and ready for action, and absolutely stole the movie.
Hey, am I looking in the right place? Let's see.
Yes,
I should be looking right there.
There you are. Yeah, it's just highlight. Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Hey. All right. John, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And next, he is an actor whose body of work includes Forever Young, Fletch, and of course, the recurring role of Bob Swirsky on Saturday Night Live. Today, he joins us to discuss the role of accountant, painter, and beer tester, Hillary Norman Peterson, better known as everyone as Norm. Please welcome George Wendt.
Howdy.
Hey, Norm! Right, we had to say that.
Right.
George, how are you?
I'm okay. Against all odds.
Well, absolutely so. So, I think behind you, I recognize William Shakespeare. Who's the fellow in the middle?
I think it's Shelley, but I'm not sure. Not Shelley Long, but Shelley.
Right.
Well, that looks like Dickens, too, right there. Right. over there.
Yeah, that does look like Dickens.
Yeah.
It's a famous author. All right, very good. So, George, everything's good in your corner of the world?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's
reasonably well-ish.
Still above ground.
over the past 18 months, well is the new awesome. And I think we can all thank our lucky stars for that. So, distinguished guests, once again, thank you all for joining us here on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Our team is going through the chat room right now, pulling out the questions for us. In the meantime, I'd just like to throw this out. 11 seasons, 275 episodes, 111 Primetime Emmy Award nominations with a total of 28 wins. This was a tremendous series. Absolutely great writing, absolutely great acting. Just hit above board and started out as the underdog. Came in first season, I think, almost dead last, and it was the critical praise that saved it. What was the best memory each of you have taken from being a part of Cheers?
Well, for me, it was just the laughing off and on camera, where they'd have to stop the show that we'd be laughing so hard. And things that the audience didn't know about, but just because we felt like we were actually working at a bar. And that was my favorite takeaway.
Fair
enough. George, you were there like yours.
Same thing, just going to work and laughing all day.
Yeah, I'd say the exact same thing. When I think about it, I don't even feel like we were acting. I feel like, people go, well, do you remember this episode? I'm sort of like, no, but I remember the time that all the boys went to Catalina and didn't show up for work and didn't call in.
Well, we called in seasick.
Hey,
Yeah, there's a few of them got seasick. No names.
When you did Cheers, when I came on to Cheers, which was late in the game, the last 6 years, I'd never been on a set where you sort of could almost come in when you wanted to, and so it was sort of shocking at first, but then, took advantage of it. I remember one time that I was driving around Beverly Hills looking for some swank outfit to wear to something, and Woody called me and said, "Where are you, Kirst?" I said, "I'm driving around Beverly Hills looking for some swank." And he goes, "Are you coming to work?" I go, "No, it's Saturday." He said, "No, it's Friday." Don't you think that was a little bit of what went on there?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Gabrielle James played more roles than any of us. Our script supervisor sat in for us.
Stand here, do that. So, what was, Christy made a good point. You don't remember episodes, I'm sure, but what was maybe the craziest day in the set each of you can recall?
Big water fight one day. Big. Yeah. I think John had a hefty bag filled with water, standing at the top of the stairs, waited for Woody to walk by and dropped it on him. And then Woody broke out the fire hose on stage 25.
Really?
Yeah, upstairs in the dressing rooms, yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anything to fight back with, so I looked in my room for a bottle of Perrier or something to arm myself, but all there was a bottle of Tabasco sauce. So I unscrewed the Tabasco sauce and I started going, Woody was laughing at me. And then about 10 seconds later, he went, I didn't realize, it was like the equivalent of pepper spray.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, water fight in Tabasco. All right. Who's got something that can top that?
It's no, because then it involves other names and they may not want to be mentioned. And
that's fair.
And so
what are your initials? Do you know what made me laugh? And it's not really funny, but it is super funny. Is that when one day I remember, before we would go on, what we would do is we were a little bit different than other shows. They would do dress rehearsals and things like that. We didn't have to do that. All we had to do was do a run through, then go upstairs and hang out, and then eat dinner together. We would all eat dinner together. And then take showers or whatever, and then get in our costumes and go to work. So go down and film, So people like to get pictures of people naked or catch them in compromising positions. So one of my favorite ones, I don't really know why, was when, we were trying to get, Ted was in the shower and swinging the door open was like sort of old school. So we were all trying to figure out different ways to take pictures of them naked. And Woody came through the ceiling. He like went down along the dressing rooms, and then he took the ceiling thing out and got pictures. And I realized that after, it's much stricter now. We would be in prison.
Yeah. Woody took a dump in my wastebasket once.
He did. He took a dump in your wastebasket?
Yeah.
I remember that.
I went in his dressing room, which was right across the hall from me, and I cut a fart, and I closed the door, and he just to gross him out. And then I went in my dressing room, and I was on the phone with somebody, and Woody burst in and pulled his pants down, sat on my wastebasket, and his face turned purple. And I was like, what the hell? And he dropped a deuce right in my wastebasket.
How do you do that on command?
I don't know.
Oh, God.
And these are the stories they feel comfortable telling us.
It really was like, I came on, like I said, I came in on season 6. Yeah. No, season whenever I came on. But it was, when you think back on it, everything I remember was just like, it was like being at the most fun summer camp that you could possibly design. And I know we were at work, and we actually really sort of worked hard-ish in a weird way, but it was, you couldn't call it exactly professional, but it was whatever it was, they created this successful environment that I'd never experienced as an actress. I think that was my first comedy. So everything I'd been on was sort of serious. And a lot of times when you do dramas, everyone acts real serious all day long, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to kill.
Well, Masquerade was a pretty serious spy series. So.
Oh God, help me.
Hey, I watched it. I liked it.
I hated it because they made me cut my hair in some shag.
Oh.
And the producer, and what's her name? Valente, said to me, when you cut your hair is when you'll be a big star. She wanted me to cut my hair really short. And I had always had, my mother made me have a pixie, and I hated it. So Renee Valente, that was her name. She did Masquerade. Ever. And Robert, God, that was fun, but not as much fun. But I'm just saying, no one had as much fun as the people on Cheers, ever. It's impossible. Would you say that, you guys?
I would agree. I've been on other shows and directed a few, and nothing really compares with the atmosphere of Cheers. That they let us do that, and I think, to Jimmy Burrows' credit, he understood that it's a comedy, and these are comedy players. So funny on camera, let them have fun.
And there was never any kind of pressure, like regarding network or studio run-throughs. Like we didn't even know they were there. I mean, yeah, we see Warren Littlefield hanging out once in a while, or John Pike from Paramount, but it was always just to goof around and laugh. We really were protected by the producers from any pressure. Now, I mean, there's like 200 people at like our table read, and place cards and yeah.
Do you have to say it like that?
There's a lot of that, right?
I've heard, been there, done that a little bit myself.
I don't think that's successful. I think Cheers would never have been successful like it was if it hadn't been for Jimmy Burrows, the Charles brothers, and exactly what you're talking about, that attitude of let them play, and then this is, and then when they perform it. I thought everybody was so great at performing, and the writing was so brilliant that it was just, now when you go on other shows, it's harder because you sort of take Cheers with you, and people don't necessarily appreciate your style of acting like buffoons all the time. I had to learn that the hard way.
Absolutely. Well, the show's success, it's absolutely speaks for itself. And again, and I thank you all for your contributions to it. Comedy is not as easy as people seem to think it is. You guys were having fun, but I think it's a testament to your talents and your professionalism, and above all else, these performances that you gave. And on behalf of myself and our audience, thank you for what you all did on Cheers. Really,
You're welcome.
And
my pleasure.
The pleasure is ours. And we are good to go on our audience questions. So I say let's go ahead and roll our first one. And this comes from Amy, who wants to know about, oh yes, all three of you had a cameo in Wings, which was a spinoff and took place in the same universe. What was it like playing your Cheers characters on different shows?
For me, it was a non-existent. I don't think I was on Wings. Was I?
I don't remember. No, I think well, it was just walking to the next soundstage in your same costume. I mean, I don't want to downplay it, but that's really what it was.
Did you have to walk in on a day you were doing Cheers? You have to say, oh, hey, they need you over next door for that walk on? Or was it a special scheduled day that you reported that studio?
I forget. I can't tell you.
I can't remember, but it was good guys and everything. The cast was great and the writers were fun. They were former Cheers writers, and so we, it was fun and easy, just like Cheers.
Was I with you?
I don't think so.
No,
before me.
Not sure.
It was a comment of me, unless I was drunk. I'm not really very drunky of a person.
And George, you popped in on an episode of Frasier, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
It was a blast. It was right on our stage, 25.
Okay.
And so it was old home week. Just Kelsey and Mahoney and who I knew from Chicago, and it was just a blast.
Yeah, there you go. A good day at work for everybody. So, Amy, thank you. Fun question. What do we have next? From Dan, who wants to know, do you have a favorite memory of working with Kelsey?
Sure. Lunch with Kelsey was always an adventure. He would eat butter. Just, while we were waiting for the waiter or waitress, there'd be like a little dish of butter, and he would just take gobs of it and just eat it plain, without bread or anything. So that was weird. But, it was fun. And he generally would have a martini or two. I thought it was so cheeky, but he pulled it off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a lot of memories of working with Kelsey. I'm trying to think of what I can say. Isn't that nice having that a little bit? I can say that one time, why not? It was a long time ago. I did walk in my dressing room and one of my relatives was having sex with Kelsey. So that is a memory that, was in my dressing room. And I had brought my chicken to work that day. Do you guys remember Billy Idol, the white fluffy chicken I had? Maybe you don't. Anyway, yeah. I would bring him to work now. I was always bringing animals, but then I went with Billy Idol, and there was Kelsey and my relative. I'll just say relative. You may know who that was, guys, but we won't have to out anyone. It's just a relative.
Cal said he didn't wear shoes much either. He'd walk around Paramount barefoot.
Hey, he was a Florida beach boy. I think he grew up in Florida, didn't he?
I don't know, but he's so smart. Kelsey is like so insanely smart. He can speak to anything. He
obviously spoke to your relative.
He did. He was very influential over there. Don't you find yourself a little bit when we get asked a question that we have to think a bit before we give an answer because we're going to give stuff away ish?
Hey, I just say, there, Dan, there you go. that took us out some roads we haven't seen here at GalaxyCon. All right, what's next? Here's from Christopher. Are you surprised at how well Cheers has held up over the years?
Well, I'll go. Yes, of course, surprised and flattered. But if you think about it, I mean, they always they made sure to not have timely stories. There was not like issue stories like someone's going to get an abortion or someone's going to, do something to address something in the news. And that never happened. Also, the most of the shows in those days, the multi-camera comedies in those days were video, such as Archie Bunker, Roseanne, etc., Barney Miller. Those were all video. And Taxi, of course, was on film, and Happy Days were on film. The Paramount shows were generally on film. So film was way richer, and it doesn't look like crap 30 years later, which was a bit of foresight on their part.
Mm-hmm. And the lighting was it felt like an old-fashioned, you felt like you're doing an old-fashioned show because the writing was so smart, so it was a bit timeless, right?
Yeah.
Felt like.
Yeah, the lighting boss is John Finger. Remember John?
Yeah.
And I've watching old movies, I see his credits on like Cecil B. DeMille films. I mean, he was around for a long time. He knew.
Oh yeah, the average age of the camera crew was 80.
Wow.
I would say, really.
Oh yeah.
Because they just sat there. That
They were the best.
Dolly grips and focus pullers did all the work. The operators were all super old and really enjoying work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were younger than we are now.
You know what I was thinking about the other day was, when you were saying that we didn't have timely things, but we had some timely things. And I remember one time Rhea and I went to lunch and we stayed too long and we came back late, of course. And Jimmy took us aside. It's one of the first time, it's the only time he scolded us. And he said, Kirsty, Rhea, the Joint Chiefs of Staff is here as our guest star. You can't come in late from lunch.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, remember that. What was his name? Bill?
Admiral Crow.
Oh, Bill Crow. Yeah, and he had that.
Dignitary, like guys that were like really political dignitaries.
Tip O'Neill,
sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember, he could memorize a whole page of script in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He'd glance at it. He wouldn't even read it. He'd glance at it and then know it by heart.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Who else did we have? And we had stuff like, I'm still friends with Wade Boggs. Remember when Wade Boggs did the different athletes? I remember didn't Larry Bird and Kevin
McHale.
Yeah.
The Postmaster General came on. Tony Franks.
But there was somebody else who was also like really, I can't remember. He was a political guy, but he was like, they held really high offices in the government at the time. Anyway.
See, it seemed like once it hit its zenith, and again, the charm of the location was that being a bar that you could have. It wasn't like being a home environment where like, oh no, honey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is coming over for dinner. You can't get away with that. But hey, Tip O'Neill, what are you doing here? So absolutely. And George, I have to agree with just sticking to human topics and human stories and just people as opposed to the issues of the day was a very wise choice, I think, for the fit of the show and everything else. And
we didn't have the very special blossoms and stuff. We did, which I liked. We didn't have because today Rebecca would have had to have gotten pregnant and then decided where she was going to have an abortion. And then there would be all of these. Oh, no, we never had those. No one ever got sick. Did anybody ever get sick? No.
No, and there's absolutely time and forum and shows for that sort of stuff. But sometimes, just like the title song of the show, sometimes you just want to go and just have a really good, fun, comfortable comedy, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And
Well, those things aren't actually funny. So how do you, even when I see them in shows, I know with the Golden Girls, when I see one where they got real serious, I was sort of like, no, come on, no, just stay over there in this lane. This lane is, that's for me, but maybe other people.
There you go.
Pretty funny though, Golden Girls.
The funniest. I watch it every day now. I mean, my God, it's the funniest. But when they hit those points, I'm like, no, let's not have this. Let's not be profound.
B. Arthur was just so amazing.
So good. That combo of those guys, Betty White. Oh my God, yeah. Pretty. They're so pretty.
Indeed. Christopher, thank you. Great question. What do we have next? And here's one from Maddie. Are there any plans afoot that you may be allowed to reveal about the 40th anniversary next year? The 40th, my God.
40th, each, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have cake. I don't know about the rest of you. No plans that I know of.
No, I haven't heard anything either. Wow, 40 years.
Yeah,
40? That seems insane. Are we sure, Maddie? Maddie, are you sure it's 40?
Yeah, 82.
That's when you guys started, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't count.
Wow, you guys are old.
30 years.
Oh, God.
Well, Maddie, stay tuned. There may be announcements in the future, but right now, yeah, well, everybody's having cake.
I think I'll announce I'm pregnant before that's going to happen. Just a guess.
We have a very special episode.
What? I mean, I wish that we would just go. I've wanted to all along just start up again, never mention where we've been. Everybody's still a loser. Yeah. Everybody's still in the bar. You never have any explanation of anything.
That would be brilliant, because as if the bar was still going along all these years. I think we should do something set in, where are you, Kirsty? What town?
I'm in Clearwater, Florida.
Clearwater, Florida. I think that should be our new location.
I just think it's funny if you walk in, everybody's doing the exact same thing. You never ever in the series mention where anybody's been or anything. I mean, every once in a while it'll pop up, like, each character's different. I probably been divorced 5 times. And you're probably still with Vera, don't you think?
Yeah, but you were headed straight for the loony bin.
Well, wait a minute now.
No, Rebecca was, you were just like, if we'd have gone another episode, you would have, I don't know what would have happened.
Well, I married a plumber, so I'm sure that I would have become disgruntled.
I think there was a throwaway line that your character in The Plumber had busted up in Frasier. So.
Oh, was there? Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? And then,
but you were hanging out at Cheers.
Yeah, and John, what would you be doing? What do you think? Would you be married?
Oh, yeah, Cliff. I think that Cliff would have hit the lottery and then pissed away all his money on showgirls and sports cars. And then he's back, living with an old aunt.
Selling shoes.
Yeah, so
I just thought Norm would have gone AA and be the manager of a sober living house with all these tragically sexy not teenage, but 20-something men, with like all sorts of like, that'd be the spinoff. I'd be like the voice of reason, guys.
You've given that some thought, George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still go back to Cheers. You just be ordering club sodas and soda. And again, I think it was very charming that your character, Sam, had like the final word in the final episode. I mean, the speech your character gives about, look, if there's a place in heaven, as far as I'm concerned, it's that stool over there. And I think that summed it up for everybody who'd been along with all you guys up until that time. So
yeah.
So good stuff. Good stuff. Great question. What do we have next? From Boogie. What has been your favorite non-Cheers project? Oh, that's a good one.
Your favorite non-Cheers project?
Yeah, what's the favorite thing you've done besides Cheers?
Oh,
Well, I'm putting on some luggage racks on my car this afternoon.
Oh,
somehow musicals. I don't know what the hell. Oh, I know. That was like after Hairspray had run for several years in New York, it came down to me. So I got to play a middle-aged, obese, woman, doing song and dance on Broadway for a year. It was it was really, really fun. Odd, but fun.
no. Absolutely.
John.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the question?
So,
the favorite thing?
But yeah,
I thought the
besides
luggage
the
rack.
luggage. Well, look, yeah, you want to say to my luggage rack? That's fine, boss.
I've been enjoying my animation voiceover career for the last 26 years. Matter of fact, another one in a couple of weeks ago for Skydance, John Lasseter's new company. So doing another one for him, and I just playing with my grandkids, I guess.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nothing spectacular.
No,
they're pretty spectacular. The grandkids, me too, with the grandkids situation. I had fun doing. Always wanted to do a Woody Allen movie. That was one of my. I remember when I got that because I had always wanted to do a Woody Allen movie. That was sort of like the hippest thing you could do when I was, 23. And then when I wasn't 23 and I did that, I remember going back to my hotel and I went in and I met him and he was sitting with Soon Yi and it was very dark and there were these green drapes and I walked in and I sat down and he said, "Well, thank you for coming in." And I said, "Oh, you're welcome." And he said, "Okay." And then I walked out and I was crying walking back to my hotel. I thought, "Oh my God, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. I didn't even say anything." And then when I got back to my hotel, my agent called in, literally said, "Oh, you have it." And I go, "How? I don't understand how. How could I have it? I didn't even speak." And he said, "Well, maybe that's why you got it." But that was sort of a dream come true, I guess I could say.
Fair. Absolutely fair. Boogie, thank you. Fun question. What do we have next? And here's one from Jeff. What was each of your auditions or audition processes like for Cheers?
Oh, that's a good one, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Go, guys. I don't know yours.
Well, you started out the same character between both of you, wasn't it?
Sorry, me and John?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. But I'll set up John for the.
I'm trying to figure out how to truncate it, but go ahead.
Mine was. They said they want. I was tied up to a different show, and they said, "Well, we want you to come in as a guest. It's a small role, though." Oh, okay. Well, how small? Well, it's really just one line. Actually, it's one word. It's one syllable. Oh, okay. Well, what's the syllable? And they go, beer. I go, oh, okay. I can say that. And they said, well, it's too small to read that. That's silly. Why don't you read this other role, which was the role of George? And so I read that, and they were interested. And but John, of course, read for the same role, and he felt it wasn't going so well. So,
well, it was going so well, but I had never really auditioned in my life up to that point because prior to that, I lived overseas and wrote and performed and toured my own. Well, there's two of us, me and my buddy Ray Hassett. We toured Europe for a good 6-8 years doing our own shows. So any jobs I got over there were because of that. And, we used to hang around with the Monty Python guys, and Bob Hoskins used to come to our shows. So we were in a nice mix there. But anyway, got over to Los Angeles. Somebody set me up for the audition, and I walked in. I didn't know what a side was. They said, "Do you have your size?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I got both of them." Anyway, the audition was horrible, as you can imagine. And as I was walking out the door, I just very innocently, but the writer part of me kicked in, and I just turned to the group assembled. I said, "Do you have a bar know-it-all?" And it was Glen Charles who said, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" So I said, the kind of guy who, and I think I picked up a Bic pen off of the desk there, and I went into this explanation on how the Bic pen came about and how it was named and this, that, and the other thing. And I got them to laugh enough where I could leave with my dignity, because I'd been doing great work over in Europe for a lot of years. So I thought, wait a minute, no, I'm better than this. They need to know that. And 2 days later, they called and offered me the part of the know-it-all.
That's very cool.
That is fantastic.
Cliff was born.
I've been dining out on that very story for the last 40 years.
Yeah, it was. I was so blasé, and because I was writing something for CBS at the time, and I said, "Hey, I gotta go." And one of the vice presidents of CBS said, "Where are you going?" I said, "We'll get this, start rehearsals on this show." He said, "Oh, was that the bar one?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Trust me, the American public will never go for a show set in a bar."
Oh, good.
That's okay. 11 years later.
He was a little wrong.
Oh,
Jimmy's dad, Jim Burrows, dad wrote this Duffy's Tavern, which was a very popular sitcom on radio set in Duffy's Tavern.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I think, isn't that where Cheers basically came from? With Bob Broder or somebody said, "Well, why don't we talk about, the writers and Jimmy putting together a TV version of Duffy's Tavern?"
Could be. I never heard that version, but yeah.
Unless I just thought of it myself, but I don't know.
Yeah, I heard something similar to that it burbled in several forms, so it came up to this. So nice. And Kirsty,
Yeah.
when did Cheers blip in your radar?
Okay, so I was off doing a movie with Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger, and I was a dramatic actress. Okay.
I can't picture that. It's hard to, anyway.
I'd done before, Jimmy Burrows, the director, he said, and Jeff Greenberg, who's the casting director, said they'd seen me do Cat on a Hot Tin Roof at the Mark Taper Forum, and they thought it was really funny. Now, as we all know, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is a drama. Anyway, so I was off doing this movie, and I remember my agent called and said they would like to see you for this TV show called Cheers. I wasn't very familiar with it, but I had a plan. I thought, I'd like to do some comedy movies. And I said, if I could get this and do it for a year, then people could hire me for comedy movies. So what most people don't know is, and this is unheard of, my contract, maybe it was because they thought I was going to be horrible and they're going to fire me the first week, but my contract was for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And when you sign up to do comedies like that, your contract usually has to be 5 years. So my contract was for 1 year, and I had my plan, I'm going to be funny, and then I'll get funny movies. And then I fell in love with everybody. I think that's for me, Cheers is a love story. The life of Cheers is a love story because we worked together. I loved everybody. No one ever got in fights. It was so easy. And then we would have holiday parties, and we could have had holiday parties with all sorts of different celebrities and people, but we had them with ourselves and all of our children growing up. I'm going to start crying. I'm not going to really cry. People were on TV or whatever this is called. But, like all of your kids and all of my kids and all of Ria's and Ted's kids, seeing them grow up. And we always got to bring our kids to work, not like bring them to work day. We brought them to work every day because we were at Paramount and they had Lucy Park and they had, they allowed us to have these beautiful, wonderful lives while making a show. So it's sort of like making the show was the side dish.
I think a lot of that was you, though, Kirsty, because I think you had a Easter party at your place out in Encino, and you were dressed as a princess, and then you got the frog, and you had these treasures hidden all over the place, and the food was just out of sight, just the gourmet food everywhere. You invited the cast, our kids, any relatives that happened to be visiting at the time, the crew, their kids, their neighbors. So you had a few hundred people there at your place. And then at the end of the day, I remember we're sitting on the curb of your driveway and just exhausted of just the activity. And all of a sudden, I perked up. I said, "What's that?" Music. We turned it was a USC marching band coming up the driveway. Kirsty had hired the USC marching band as the finale for her Easter party. But that's who Kirsty is. And every time people say, "Well, what was it like working with Kirsty?" That's the story I pull out of my grab bag, because that's just who she is. That's so generous and open and kind. It made a difference, I think, to the show as well.
That's sweet. Thanks. But that's how you guys were. You welcomed me. You know, you guys, we've all done enough projects to know that all shows aren't welcoming. All shows aren't fun. All shows aren't what it was. So I feel like this coming on board, and John and George in particular, a night that was my first show, you know, and of course I was nervous. I was coming onto somebody, you know, I wasn't playing the same part, but I was coming into a new show, and George and John gave me a shotgun, and the note said, "You're going to have to shoot your way out of here." And I was like, oh my God, just the kindness and sweetness. And it sounds cornball, but it really was like a love story. It was, I fell in love with everybody. It's just so unreal that on a set, I never saw a fight, never saw arguments, never saw anything. That's not what most sets have, those kinds of things, or jealousy. Like you guys, you just didn't have egos about it. Nobody on the show had egos about the show. That's what I felt like, that I was the luckiest girl in the world, you know?
It was a real shotgun, by the way.
Yeah. I know, I still have it.
Yeah, well, our end of the story is...
You still have it?
It's a little...
I still have it. I have it in Oregon. That shotgun is very sentimental to me. And you all know I love to shoot skeet and trap and all that. So, yeah, I have that shotgun. And I have the guitar that, I don't know if you remember this, we had a baby shower for True. I was having trouble having a child, and then I adopted my son True, and they gave me a baby shower at Cheers, and Tim Barry gave me a guitar. Gave True a guitar. True still has the guitar too, because I always said, "Oh, I want a rock and roll baby." I got one.
Nice.
So the afternoon of Kirsty's first show, the rest of us were sitting around going, "Geez, we should probably get Kirsty a gift." Yeah, we should. Can anybody think of anything? I don't know. And Rhea goes, "Look, I have a meeting." And Ted goes, "Yeah, I got something too." And Woody was, I don't know, on Mars. And so it came down to John and I to sort out the gift. And so we're like, "All right, we'll take care of it." And we go out, I believe, in my car.
Yeah, you were driving, and it was
no idea. We're just like looking for inspiration. We're going past all these shops on Melrose. What could we get? Trashy lingerie? No. A burrito? No, that one. And then we drive by Big Five Sporting Goods, and John says, "Look, Big Five." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Want to get her a shotgun?" We laughed for about 5 minutes, and then we went in and bought the fucking shotgun. and it was that easy as pie, you know.
Yeah.
How sweet is that? How sweet is it? If you want to leave this cast, you have to shoot your way out.
Yeah,
that was George's.
John.
What?
I was just saying, the other cast were like, "You are insane! You bought her a shotgun?" And so, I mean, the best news about it is John and I were off gift duty now from set out to get gifts again.
For the rest of our lives.
I know that out of my life. So you were spot on. I'm from Kansas. Come on.
And is this a double barrel or pump action?
It was a 12 gauge shotgun.
12 gauge, yeah.
Nice, very nice. Guys, this has been an absolute delight. Any final words for our audience before we take our leave?
Yeah, I think we should have this cursing because I shoot skeet and trap as well. So maybe we should have some kind of a fundraiser down there in Florida. I got a buddy who runs a firing range over in Orlando.
Let's do it.
And so you guys organize it. Just tell me what day it is, and I'll show up with my shotguns. I got one for you too, George.
I have something to say to everybody because I will tell you this. I think that I know this, that Cheers has the most loyal, interested audience of any show that's ever been on television. So, and they just stay there and they hang in and they, like on Twitter, I get so many compliments about the show, what every George, John, all the actors and the show. And people tell all these stories. They got together every Thursday night, when they were in college, or they watched it with their mom and dad, or now they watched it with their
grandkids.
Anyway, it's just like, thank you for being so receptive to all of us. It's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thanks as ours. It has been my absolute pleasure to serve you all here today. Once again, thank you for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us, and thank you all for those great questions. Hope to see you all again soon. Until then, bye-bye, everyone. Take care, and remember that smiles are free. Spend them often.